Welcome back to Shred with Ed. We are getting back into our van build series, so this is video number 2. In our first video, we started by doing some of the sound deadening, and we put this foam van rug down, and we also put a trim plate on the rear, just to kind of see what we were going to do and how I was going to finish the floor, because I want to be able to haul mountain bikes and dirt bikes safely and securely without anything joining us in the front seat in the event of a hard braking or, God forbid, an accident. So we figured out what we're going to do. This isn't going to be a typical camper build where I have a kitchen and a designated bed area in there like most vans. And what I found, a lot of these upfitters will build a foam base with plywood and then something somewhat durable on top. But I found a little bit more of a durable material from a upfitter that does work vans that I'm going to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue some plywood to the van rug that we put down for additional support for some L-track, and then on top of that I will put T-nuts through the plywood to bolt L-track to, so that'll sandwich the upper layer of the floor onto it, and hopefully we'll be able to finish insulating all around the van. And I want to add 2 more cargo lights up above. I've enlisted the help of my older brother. He's an electrician by trade, but definitely a much more capable builder than I, so let's head out. I think since I'm building the floor up, I may have to take these off and insulate first, but we'll see. Let's consult the builder with his Capri Sun.
So I know I'm probably going to get some flack for doing this in the rain, but I have a trip coming up in a few weeks, so I really need to get this done while having any help available to me possible. So sometimes when you're working around other people's schedule, you just have to make do with what you have. But fortunately, I have a rather large easy up tent that I was able to put up to keep everything pretty dry. As you see here, we're getting started with insulating the van. I just use rock wool. I know it's heavily contested that people should use either Thinsulate or a sheep wool type insulation, but for this application I think rock wool will do just fine. I'm not exactly living in the van. I'm using it to travel to destinations and such, and once I have all the walls sealed up I won't have any issues with the insulation. This is also non-toxic, so should do the trick. It's definitely a pain to work the insulation into every single nook and cranny of the van, but knowing me, I really want to make sure that the van is quiet while I'm driving down the road to minimize any rattling, so I'm trying to do the best job I possibly can here by putting the insulation pretty much anywhere available. My brother does work in contracting, so he gave me a quick tip just to let me know that it doesn't have to be packed perfectly tight. It actually does want to be able to move, so it can vibrate around in there. So after getting that done, I started to button the panels back up. My van came with a rear air conditioner, so I still have to figure out what I'm going to do with that part of the wall, so if anyone has any suggestions, please let me know. With the first part of the floor cut, it was time to start sizing things, and let Sean, of course, get a Capri Sun break. So we're going to start fitting this in. We used 1/2 inch thick furniture grade plywood. This is probably a little overzealous on our part, but knowing that I want to attach 200+ pound dirt bikes to it, I figured I might as well err on the side of caution here, and we used the van tread as a template to help cut it out, and it fits just fine. So that was good. I do have some gap between the wheel well and the plywood that I could probably fill with silicone later. Here you could see how we use the legend floor, which is going to be the top layer, to help us template the plywood. This still doesn't really help because we have to figure out how to get around the air conditioner, but this will get us pretty close, at least 85% of the way there. And here's the most anxious part, cutting the plywood. At $75 a sheet, this stuff is not cheap, but it should provide a really, really strong backing for our L-track and bike mounts. Here we are cutting out the piece where the air conditioner goes. I didn't want to fiddle around with it or try to remove it from the van and mess with any of the AC lines, but we did it by making this template, and there you have it.
Okay, so the floor test fitted. I'm not too concerned about this gap because I'm putting a bulkhead wall here, so I'm not too worried about that. But this is how it looks. Did a really good job with the air conditioner. Didn't you? It's too humble.
So I took some direction from Project Northeast with this one-up mount where he did T-nuts through plywood through L-track, and I think this is going to be great. So we started to drill holes where I'm going to have the first row of L-track for the one-up racks. These are really great, like I said before, so I can just stick one wheel into the mount, close it, and the bikes won't go anywhere while we're driving down the road. And for a better look of how many T-nuts we used about 10 per track just to be secure. And we started to use just regular construction adhesive to get the plywood ready to go down. But first we obviously have to put the van tread rug back for that EPS foam layer. I think that's going to do a really good job at keeping vibrations down. So after that was down, we decided to lay the plywood down. As you can see, it's very thick, very heavy plywood, but I really think it's going to be great for my van. And there you have it. The floor is very solid. It's a little spongy here, so we're going to put some plywood there to strengthen it so it doesn't squish up and down as we're getting in and out of the back of the van. It will be a high traffic area. This obviously worked very well, so we can move forward to the legend floor, and we're going to start at the back because the air conditioner is obviously going to be the hardest part. And next we'll lay in the front piece, which will essentially complete the floor. We just have to bolt the L-track through the legend floor into the plywood. This was pretty nerve-wracking because everything has to line up perfectly at this point. I might have done better if I went with a little bit longer of a screw, but I didn't want to drill into the actual floor of the van. While I got ready to insulate more of the van, Sean got started with wiring up the lights.
So thank God for my brother for this one because I really wanted extra lights, and we did it. Well, he did it, not me. These are just the same OEM transit lights that come. We wired this one in the same circuit as that, and wired this one to the same circuit as that. It worked out. We did unfortunately break literally every single one of these clips off, so I'm gonna have to replace these before I put the channel back up. But small price to pay for some extra lighting that's really gonna be helpful.
We used 3M90 contact adhesive for the insulation, and it's doing a really good job holding it up.
Alright, so we're all done. Got the first part of the floor done. We left this trim piece pretty open because we have to build the wall there just to see how everything lines up, but we insulated, put these panels up. Probably do a better job insulating, but I think I'm gonna run L-track across the top here and along this bottom rung there. Just have another place to mount to. And then I have to get new clips for this track because we broke just about all of them when you pull the harness cover off. But pretty stoked on how it turned out. I mean, the echo of this van is essentially deleted at this point, so happy for that.
Alright, so I didn't expect this to take as long as it did, but the plastic trim piece I had here cracked, so we decided to go a different direction and I had to find something. And since this was gonna go unfinished for so long, my brother talked me into adding these extra T-nuts in the floor to add more L-track. That way I could stagger bikes if I really had to fit a lot of stuff back here for some of the longer trips. So without further ado, let's add some L-track. This was essentially the same as before. I was just hoping all of the T-nut holes would line up properly with the L-track. I did go back and apply red Loctite on every single L-track screw just to make sure nothing would rattle loose as the van vibrates down the road. Alright, done. Everything lines up perfectly. Now you can kind of visualize how I could stagger bikes. You put the back wheel in each of these one-up trays and let the front wheel just kind of dance back and forth. So this will allow me to stagger bikes and stack them closer. So from there, we're going to get on to doing my rear sill plate. So for this, I figured I should probably put a piece of weather stripping between the metal plate and the plywood. This would allow moist air to get out, but I also wanted to prevent any other debris or too much moisture from getting in. And there we have it. The plate's all done. The back end is protected. It's not spongy. I just gotta figure out, maybe get like a little hole plug there. I could find stuff like that pretty easily. But next thing I want to do is I want to test fit the bikes, see how that works out from loading it in. So the goal of this is to be able to easily load them this way if need be. And it looks like we'll be able to. The other wheel just wants to turn a little bit. Be happy. There you have it. She's all set. Alright guys, thanks for taking time to watch this part of our van build video. I think next we're going to focus on getting the wall done, because this thing's pretty much done. I just need a way to securely lock my dirt bike down. Catch you next time.